Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Canada Cup Season 7. We've got Team Freedom versus the Dragon Slayers, Dragneel. This is an awesome, girthy, best of three, upper bracket. This is good stuff. These are the tried and true teams of Canada Cup here. I'm Zyori, joined today by Lyrical, and we've got Lactrodectus on the stats helm. Interesting matchup today here, Lyrical. How you feeling coming into this best of three? We got a little teaser, a little sampler with that best of one earlier, but this best of three should be nice and meaty.
Yeah, definitely. That was the aperitif, if you could say. It's the thing that gets you ready for the meal that's going to be coming. And these two teams, they've played against each other fairly recently. You look back at all of the tournaments that have been going on. You got Nanyang, you've got qualifiers for Summit 5 and Star Ladder, and of course Canada Cup. And they have played each other fairly consistently. And the most recent one, Dragon Slayers were able to come out on top. Dragneel able to take the win there. Team Freedom are looking a little bit shaky in this most recent patch. I feel like it's not necessarily fitting their play style, but I want to see them come back here. They're still a very strong team. If they play just standard Dota, occasionally they'll do like a Jubei Kunkka with their mid player running a Tinker as well, and it can get a little bit too clowny sometimes. But they're a strong team if they stick to the basics.
Well, I do like the way they open. I think Phoenix is one of the better heroes on this patch, especially that team fights are so important. And we've seen the power of the win ray in every stage of the game. It's not even just about the mid-game team fights. It's about those early skirmishes, those early laning rotations. Phoenix is incredible. He can turn fights around, do big damage, heal his teammates. All he needs is level 6, and all of a sudden this big flappy birds flying in, making eggs all over the place. It's disgusting. And if you can combo it with pretty much anything, any disable, any stun, it can be damn good. I particularly like the Phoenix Medusa combo. I think both those heroes are just strong in general in this patch, and that synergy is really quite nice. Even if they get stone gazed, okay, they don't take damage or it actually petrifies them. They don't take magic damage, but still it sets up a great opportunity where they're either forced to take heavy magical damage from the supernova or heavy physical damage. But I don't know. I don't know if the Medusa is really the freedom style on this patch. They might take something a little more aggressive.
Yeah, they certainly could, and it's something where I feel like you mentioned it there. It's just the combo of the two of them with the stun, and then you keep it there so Medusa can just right-click people down. If they wanted to go for it, it's certainly a strong combo. But the thing that I love most about Phoenix is it's a first pick that you really can't punish. There's very few ways to take advantage of a Phoenix pick, whereas you look at something, for instance, like a Lion coming out from Dragneel. This is a hero that sometimes can suffer in the laning stage if he's solo, so you can sometimes go for like a dual aggressive offlane and punish that hero. But I was looking at some stats before it popped into this, and I think that Lion has something like a 70% win rate over the past patch for Dragneel. They run this guy whenever they get a chance to do it, and it's really strong for them. So I feel like already in a little bit of their comfort zone. They're banning out IX Mike heroes. We're not going to be seeing the Omni or that Beastmaster, and already off to a decent start.
Yep, definitely. I noticed that Omni Knight ban, and that is certainly a Team Freedom special. Lifestealer, the second choice now for the Dragon Slayers. They took a lot of time to think about this, and I wonder what they have in store for the picks to come. Generally speaking, when you see a Lifestealer picked up this early, it's because you want to combo it with something. Naturally, pretty good against the Phoenix, just because you can rage off the attack speed slow, so you can get some good smacks into that egg. Generally, you're going to go for an S and Y base build or some drums or something to give you a little bit of attack speed. So good pickup there, but maybe something like a Puck could be great for the Dragon Slayers. Somebody like a Magnus, someone that can just blink in, start off a fight, and let that Lifestealer jump out and just cripple somebody right away. Even with just Lion Lifestealer, you've got a great combo that can blink, hex, finger, infest bomb, right click, you're pretty much killing them.
Yeah, it's solid stuff. And Team Freedom go back for the X Mike special. It's going to be the Abaddon. I would agree with you that you do want to combo it with something. The other nice thing is it's a tanky hero that doesn't get crippled by Sunray. It's pure damage, but it's pure damage that doesn't pierce BKB. So Rage is going to be fine for him. You might see Team Freedom go back for a silencing hero that's going to be able to hopefully catch him out before that comes about, where he's not able to get the Rage off. But I would agree that maybe you think about also a Bat Rider is something that we've occasionally seen, or a Nyx Assassin is
you
also
really like
really
that
great.
Bat Rider, don't you?
I'm loving the Bat. I watched a ton of Chinese Dota in Southeast Asia. It's like it's the rage right now. Everybody loves to do it. So
the Bat's good. I can get behind the Bat for sure. I know what you're talking about. It combos even really well with the Phoenix. Fire on fire, but you can just drag people into the egg. If you get the Aghanim Scepter, dragging 2 people into the egg. I think Batrider is just good all around. It's weird how that hero is loved in some metas and just kind of ignored in others.
Yeah, definitely. I think that a Nyx would probably be the more American option. I've seen that hero played every now and then as well, but I'm not sure if Dragneel play it because you can spike Carapace off the Sunray, and all of a sudden that huge amount of damage that we talked about is mitigated. And then you've got the Lifestealer Bomb from Hell, which is just really difficult to deal with too. But they're going to opt to take out the Weaver and the Timbersaw. Timbersaw is a hero that's just been everywhere as well. That guy just he dominates.
Yeah, he's just one of those momentum heroes. If he gets a good laning stage, he can really take over in the mid game. He's one of those guys that needs to keep tempo, so it's a little bit risky putting him in the off lane, but if you can put him mid, if you can do one of those lineups where you do like a 2-1-2 so you get some support, get an aggro off lane going, he can be really effective. He does a lot of damage and can definitely put out a lot of damage. Good against strength heroes, takes away that primary stat with the Whirling Death, so just lowers that HP a little bit, makes him easier to kill in the team fights.
Mm-hmm.
I had a horrible pub game against the Timbersaw not that long ago where he was just, it felt like he was unkillable. When they snowball out of control and you go tanky items and you get all those reactive armor stacks, he's very survivable on this patch. Was somewhat of a forgotten about hero, but I'm glad to see him coming back because he does have a place. You know, there are some games against like a triple melee core where you think just, Jesus, where's the Magnus Timbersaw this game? You know?
Yeah, totally. If you get the 4 points in reactive armor early, which people have started to do, you can actually tank tier 1 towers just because you get so much regen. It's about 30 regen per second. So it's like almost fountain healing. It's so crazy. And I would agree. I had a ton of fun playing him in pubs every now and then, but I'm also terrible at this game. But the Storm Spirit also going to come out. Another natural combo there with the Lifestealer. But Dragneel are going to go back for the Invoker. You saw him kind of go ham in the last series. MSS playing it well.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not exactly sure how great it combos together. I feel like he might need to go Quas Wex again to try and break that Phoenix Sunray, because right now they don't have the greatest ability to do it. Like Lion has to run into him to make that work, and if you're running your Lion into the enemy, it's probably not the best.
Yeah, that's a great point, actually. It's a pretty effective tool against the Sunray, and it's also pretty good against the Abaddon. It uses a purge, so it gets rid of that aphotic shield on targets, which is another great utility. They could also use a Quaswex Invoker where you go for that kind of old-fashioned Orchid Rush build, and you can Ghost Walk around, pop the Lifestealer inside, and you've got another great ganking squad. So now with these two heroes, they could actually, just get away without one of those quote-unquote classic Lifestealer bomb-type heroes I was talking about before, and now you've got a couple of options. Once Lion gets a blink, there's no reason why they can't go hunting around in the enemy jungle and look for pickoffs. Even somebody like Abaddon, putting a lot of pressure on him, forcing out that ult, if they knock down those towers in the dire safe lane, they could definitely open up the jungle and put a lot of pressure on.
No, totally. And that's something that this lineup can do in spades. You've got the Phoenix for the sustain. It's sort of like the way that the Witch Doctor was played in the last game. Abaddon, obviously, with that, the Curse of Avernus is a great pushing tool. And it's reminiscent of a Beastmaster where if you get off to a good start, you can take that opponent's top tier 1, or rather in this case, bottom tier 1 tower, and then sort of constrict the rest of their jungle. Granted, you still do have issues with Invoker, regardless of what build he goes, and they're going to end up going back for the Bane. A strong lane here. This tells me that Phoenix might be in that... They might think about running Phoenix in another lane, or possibly it's just going to be Bane mid. I don't know how they want to play this yet.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Excuse me. So I'm giggling because our stats person just tweeted at me 7 minutes ago with a video titled "How to Pronounce Latrodectus" or whatever the fuck that name is. I'm sorry. All right, I butchered it. It's a weird word that I've never said out loud before. So we'll.
I'm pretty sure it has to do with spiders. She loving the spiders. It's good stuff.
Oh my god, arachnids! Fucking Christ. Okay, well. Bane is a great lane support, though. Great range. Just the nature of the brain sap is pretty nasty in that early stage. You can do a lot of damage, regen yourself, set up for combos. Curious what they're going to match with. I mean, maybe a Mirana pick could be coming. A core Mirana with a Bane. That makes me wonder a little bit. But, oh, golly, here we go. The big guy, the Elder Titan. The natural order's coming in. Natty order, natty ice. That's what's on the menu tonight.
Always. That's my go-to. Definitely. No, it's really not. It's terrible. It's so bad.
It's the worst. I can't drink it.
Yeah, no, definitely not. It's interesting here, though. I'm curious if this is going to be the elusive and not often seen just straight up Elder Titan in the off lane, or the more common build is sending him mid. I feel like they might need to send him mid now that the PL is going to be there. But also, like, if Bane is sitting mid to mess with the Invoker, I feel like Bane can kind of zone out Elder Titan as well. I'm not sure exactly where they want to run this. With a PL there, you're naturally putting a lot of pressure on the Invoker. That's a lane that's tough for him. And now also ostensibly having a Bane that's going to be messing with you. I don't know if ET is enough.
Yeah, that is true. It's one of the drawbacks for sure. I think they can just play defensive with him. I mean, I've seen Dragneel use the Elder Titan and insist on going like boots, windlace, and rotate around and try to set stuff up. And sometimes that works, but a lot of the times it feels like he's just kind of lagging behind, sort of like that bounty hunter we saw in our first best of one today, where he moved around and just couldn't find any kills and was pretty underleveled. And I think if you just play him like a little more of a greedy 4, like I don't think I've seen anybody actually go for an Iron Talent on him, but I don't see any reason why he couldn't farm at least a little bit in the jungle with an Iron Talent and a little bit of extra regen. Even just some Tranquil Boots should be enough to clear out a couple of packs here and there, use that big staple gun. And just get to level 6. You know, he's really one of those heroes that just needs some of those early levels, needs to hit 6, 7, and then get the ball rolling a little bit. But I agree with you. With heroes like Bane and Abaddon, they can be so aggressive in the lanes. Even PL can fight a bit early on. The Spirit Lance does a nice bit of burst damage and has a nice slow attached to it. So Team Freedom, light on time here. We'll see what they want to do. This should be pretty telling, and it's a lone druid. Okay.
Well, that looks to me like a lone druid safe, PL mid, Abaddon off lane, and then my question, this makes a lot more sense then. They might actually stick Phoenix Abaddon in a dual off lane together, and then just stick Bane mid and have lone druids solo against whoever the off lane's going to be, but with it kind of depends on how they want to run it and who they want to prioritize getting farm. They tend to want to make sure that Mike gets off to a good start here. Another thing to keep in mind, there might be some sort of issues on the side of Dragneel. They've been running a lot of different players. In the past 2 days, they've actually had 6 different players playing with them. So, God, Faceless Void, I don't know if he's going to be able to deal with the lone druid.
Yeah, that's going to be pretty rocky. I think the Druid should be able to zone him pretty well. And now I'm starting to wonder what kind of Invoker this is going to be. The nice setup with the Void, though, is the Lifestealer. That is a great Infest Bomb. You can jump into fights very aggressively. The Void can kind of be fearless, so to speak. If he jumps into a bad situation, the Lifestealer can always hop out, rage, and that should intimidate the enemies to at least back up and make space for the Lion or the Invoker to catch up. They have a lot of ways to reset fights, too, and a lot of ways to catch Team Freedom. Once Lion gets a blink, you've got that Hex, you've got Invoker with either Blink Cold Snap or Tornadoes coming in, Elder Titan with his Stomp, and Void with a Time Walk Chrono. So that alone gives me some confidence in this Dragneel lineup that just over the course of time, they're going to find so many setups. I mean, just being able to control the Roche Pit with Invoker, Elder Titan, Void, how are Team Freedom ever going to take a Roche? I mean, sure, if they get a team wipe, they'll be able to do it, but in any sort of 5v5 engagement, I mean, Dragneel just have such a good team fight advantage where Freedom have much more pick-off oriented type heroes with Bane and the PL.
I think that the lineup from Freedom, I would agree with you. Dragneel clearly trying to go for team fight. Freedom, this to me feels like they just want to stomp their lanes and do everything they can to put themselves ahead going into the mid game, and then from there just try and outplay their opponents with small little skirmishes here and there around the map while Lone Druid farms up and just becomes this unstoppable monster. That to me feels like the way that they're going to try and play this, and
yeah.
I'm not sure how feasible it's going to be, because Lone Druid, you want to be able to start knocking on the front door. I guess the big thing in the ace in the hole, so to speak, is going to be that PL in the mid lane, and somebody here should be able to farm up pretty effectively. And late stage Lone Druid and PL, it's difficult to deal with.
Yeah, that's true. They have really good team fight, but I think Dragneel also have pretty decent tools to deal with it. I mean, yeah, the Entangling Claws are pretty annoying against Lifestealer, but he's still very good against Phoenix. I mean, yeah, Bane's ult can be pretty good against Lifestealer, lock him down through Rage. So that it goes both ways. I guess per usual, this is going to come down to execution. And who has the better laning stage? With the PL mid, it's like a guaranteed source of somebody who's good in the late game getting some momentum. Either the Lone Druid's going to do well in his lane, or the PL is going to do well in his lane based on the supports they have. There's a chance one of them might get zoned out or shut down or ganked, but somebody's getting some farm. So they should be able to scale pretty darn well. And I mean, we saw the power of the Abaddon in game 1. So that, you know, that should give us some faith here in the IX Mike. Shout out to Loot Market, a proud sponsor of it. It appears to be IX Mike as well as Canada Cup. Thank you, Loot Market. We appreciate everything you do.
Absolutely. Mr. IX might always doing it. Okay, well we're waiting right now apparently. It looks like they're ready to go. Yeah, I feel like I'm favoring Team Freedom's laning setup. There's also a little bit of dyssynergy later on with the Life Stealer and the Chronosphere going on,
True.
but if you're capable, like you can maybe play it a bit like how people did with the Sven previously, where you try and chrono one half of the team and then you just turn on to the other and focus them down. And that's another really great way to do it. The other option is that Sneaking can just go for damage items himself if he wants to. You don't have to go the Vlad's Ags build that was so popular. You could end up going back for Radiance even if you wanted to.
Yeah, that's a really good point, actually. Void definitely one of those heroes that can transition into a carry if the game goes on long enough. So one bounty rune apiece here. Invoker as well as the PL, and looks like everything else is pretty much according to plan. Both teams with one ward down and a couple of sentries. We'll see who wins this initial ward battle.
I was a little bit mistaken. It is going to be the Phoenix that's actually headed mid, and this makes a good amount of sense as well. You're just going to sunray them down. How frustrating is this going to be for the Invoker? Already a bit of a tough lane, and we're going to have to see Oklahoma City do a lot of work here in the mid lane.
Yeah, and this is where it's tough for the Elder Titan. You compare something like the Sunray to just a level 1 Astral Spirit, and it's a world of difference. The Harass only hurts so much, and already the Invoker is down pretty low. And looking down at the off lane, the Abaddon Bane should be a pretty good duo. A lot of sustainability across these two early on. They can get pretty aggressive against this Lifestealer, who takes a little while to come online.
Oh, really? This is pretty absurd. Yeah, he plays. I mean, he basically just plays offlane. That's all that he does, and he plays a couple of heroes fairly consistently, really, really well. Oh my God, this is going to be a lot of damage coming back towards Oklahoma City. He actually is hitting for about 110 a pop at this point in the game. Already just really strong with that Astral Spirit, but Jubei on this Bane, no slouch either.
Yeah, an angry Centaur there that set up a stun on pretty much everybody. The problem with the safe lane try is there's just not going to be enough experience to go around. Lion, of course, one of the supports that really needs to level up. Again, to reference that early best of one we saw, Lion without a finger is a Lion without a lot of options.
Yeah, definitely. I'm also seeing up in the top lane the Lone Druid Bear taking a little bit of damage from sneaking on this Void, and Max getting the points in Bash as well as the points in Time Walk. He should be able to do some amount of damage, but I don't think there's a great possibility for a kill or anything on this Bear. He probably should still get bullied pretty heavily throughout this laning stage, I would imagine.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the Void's off to a good start here. 9
Yeah.
CS in the first couple minutes. I think he's pretty happy with this. Lifestealer also having a pretty good time as well. Even though this is a good aggro off lane for Freedom, they're still not really able to put on too much pressure and stop him from farming, even though Mike is getting some farm of his own and starting to clear out these neutrals a little bit. Phoenix Invisibility Rune, just going to use it for more laser action. Okay, oh God, look how devastating that is. It's ridiculous.
It's really frustrating. The other thing about this is that as PL gets more levels, it's going to just get worse and worse because he can spam out that Spirit Lance and then he can Phantom Rush up to the high ground with impunity because not only does he have Doppelganger away, he's also going to get healed through the whole thing. So you're a little bit, it's a clench-in moment if you're an Invoker when he ends up running at you. You're going to need to be pretty careful.
Yeah, and now somebody's got a bottle coming out, so he's going to be able to spam even more Spirit Lances and holding on to a skill point for now, and we'll see what he does with it. Off lane, want to check back in here. Jubei and Mike still just trying to leech XP. Mike kind of keeping up with CS now. 11 last hits. They're going to be happy just to finish off this Centaur. Things looking pretty good for Freedom in this laning stage. I'm not going to lie. Lone Druid and Void keeping pretty even. It's a pretty square up match right now. Both sides, a very minor lead for Freedom, but everybody farming with a purpose.
Absolutely, and putting themselves in a good position to head forward. I think that this does probably favor Dragneel, the even laning stage right now, and Jubei, meanwhile, is going to take a lot of damage. The Stomp is going to connect. I don't think they're going to be able to do much except just do a little bit of extra bonus damage onto Mike there.
Yeah, they just zone him out. Lifestealer goes back into neutrals. They run out of creeps. This neutral camp has been a driving force of this bottom lane that neither side has really been able to deal with. The double Dark Troll Summoners, actually really annoying. Those little Skeleton Warriors hit for 24 a pop. They look wimpy, but they're actually quite strong when heroes are still level 1, level 2, as this Lion is.
Well, and they're messing around with it a little bit more. Going to be able to pull that creep wave through, and of course, if those get denied out to the neutrals, you actually get no experience for it. So very frustrating indeed, and Might take down a couple more of those, but still a very frustrating situation at Eden. Oh man, that Arcane Rune mid, it's gonna be really nice for the PL. I mean, this is gonna drop down the mana cost of all of these spells, and he should just be able to spam that out against the Invoker.
Yeah, he's also almost level 5, so gonna get that next point in Spirit Lance, does a little more damage, and that slow lasts, or it's just a little bit more effective. Duration stays the same, but goes up to 40%. Yeah, Spirit Lance is a really good laning spell. It's pretty nuts that we saw this innovation of just putting PL mid and realizing, you know, he's actually kind of a lane dominator. You know, same with Medusa. That Mystic Snake is no slouch. She could actually go, we've seen Mushi do it a lot of times, and it can be really effective, similar in a very similar vein here.
Mm-hmm.
Invoker
Absolutely.
moving into the jungle now. He is going to go Exort, though, so committed to some Sunstrike action and Forge Spirits.
I feel like there's maybe a bit of a missed opportunity here for Freedom to try and run at him a little bit more. Like, we haven't seen that much spam of the Spirit Lance as of yet. We've been saying it's a possibility, and I guess that he hasn't really shown himself to do it that often, but especially considering that this is an Invoker going Quas Exort with no points in Wex, if they did just run at him, there's a decent chance that they would at least threaten for a kill.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. In the CS battle, you can see that all of the side of Dragneel are doing a really good job already.
Yeah, all their lanes actually just about square up at the top of the chart. So a very quiet game. These teams, as we talked about, know each other well and are so far just playing the respect game. But as we say that, down bottom, Hex initiation onto Jubei. Follow up, Sunstrike on the money. He'll try to brain stab through it. Gets a heal from Mike, the Aphotic Shield. Looks like he actually ate a Fairy Fire there for the heal. And no first blood is drawn. 6 minutes in, still square up, bagel to bagel.
That heal is so good from Brain Sap. 160 damage, 160 heal, pure. At this stage in the game is just absurd. But Boris, meanwhile, in the top lane, is going to get the Chronosphere dropped onto him because guess what? Sneaking 7, and this is a kill.
Oh my god, the Sunray actually healing him up. Boris still not going to be able to survive through it. Oklahoma City gives him the staple gun, gets that bonus gold. Now they're going to go in on the Eagle. He's got an Icarus dive, though, and I think he'll be just fine. All right, so, first blood drawn. There you go.
It's not often that you see a Void capable of doing this. I really thought that he was going to have a tougher time with it, but not able to get zoned out, and because of that, he gets up to level 7. I mean, he's the highest level in the game right here, and it's really feeling like Team Freedom are on the back foot.
Yeah, so far, the levels are definitely starting to pull ahead for the Radiant squad. We'll look at the gold graph, and wow, net worth is up by 2K, experience the same, so it isn't just that first blood. They're getting a lot more out of this laning stage in general. Invoker rotating into the jungle, so he's making up for any lost farm in the mid, and sort of like you mentioned, it's not really giving Sunby the opportunities to be super aggressive and spam him out of lane because he's not spending that much time in lane. He's waiting for the PL to just push under the tower, goes back and forth, and is just really benefiting from the advantage of the Radiant side for the mid lane. This is really well played so far by the Invoker, I'd say.
It is. It's been really well played for him, and I feel like right now Freedom, the onus, I don't know if it's completely on them. I feel like late game, you're still capable of taking the fights if you're Team Freedom, but you want to get a lot done with this lone Druid, and maybe it's just going to be the Radiance eventually and then building into the, I mean, Hand of Midas first, obviously, but I felt like their lineup wanted to get more aggressive early, given the picks that they have. I feel like Bane scales not as well into the game as the Lion, and that's essentially one of the matchups, because everybody else is kind of a wash.
Yeah, I would say so. Bane can scale in the sense that he does have a disable that goes through BKB and in this game Rage, so it has sort of a built-in added advantage. But you're right. I think Lion poses more of a threat as a Blink Hex initiator to just jump in, be kind of that aggressive support that is really a threat at every stage of the game. Even just having mana drain against PL, being able to clear out illusions, does come in handy. It's not a game breaker, but a 4-second cooldown on that. You know, if this goes 60 minutes plus and that PL is massive with a butterfly and a Heart of Tarrasque, you're going to be pretty damn happy you can one-shot one of those illusions with a mana drain.
Absolutely. Well, in mid lane, the Bane was scouting things out, seeing if he could make something happen, but no such luck. Everybody from Dragneel playing very, very safe. Oklahoma City, though, he's going to head back up towards the top, places down a ward, might have gotten spotted, and yeah, that should get taken out relatively shortly.
Up top, Snake King set up, Sunstrike on the money, fire on fire. The bird goes down, and Invoker gets credit for the kill. Great little pick there by Dragneel. I could sense it, man. I was up top looking at Snake King, just like, you're itching, aren't you? You're looking for something. And, yeah, they pick up the Phoenix there. Now, I was going to say, what are the chances this Morbid Mask is the beginnings of a Mask of Madness? You know, Snake King, he's ready to pull the trigger on this audible here.
I think that this is what he's... Well, he could just leave it simple for the moment.
Oh my God.
Eagle actually just get... I thought he actually had thrown out the dive already, and actually is going to end up getting slept up, and the Sunstrike finds the kill.
Oh, daddy. They might get Choklahoma City here, but that's great. Back-to-back kills for the Invoker. Snake King still a ways off that ultimate, but a stun from the Lion. Hadouken from the Satyr. Going to help him out a little bit, and Snake King will just jump away. Dragneel get out of this one scot-free. Back-to-back kills on the Phoenix, and that hurts. That takes him down to the lowest net worth in the game. Brutal, brutal stuff.
Yeah. And he takes the walk of shame, too. He had TP'd back out there, and so the long walk back, he's level 3 right now, too, so the lowest experience in the game. And this is, we talk about how effective he can be. He's a big part of their damage in this early stage of the game. If he's not getting those levels, it's really going to be tough for him to catch back up. But as far as your question about Void, he could just leave this as a farming item, but I feel like eventually he is going to build into some more types of damage. It's not just going to be the straight-up Vlad's Aghanims, I don't think.
He's far enough ahead now that he could get away with a farming build. You know, he went into the power tread, so probably not going to go back for Midas. I mean, I doubt Battle Fury will come out. Honestly, Vlad's is still a really good item on a damage void. It plays both roles. It obviously helps the team in more of a utility and support role, but it really ups Void's damage. It ups his survivability, the mana regen. Everything is so good for him. So you could transition it. Oh, okay, here we go. Oblivion Staff on the way. Is he going to go?
Yeah. He's going Echo Saber. That's what it is.
I like this. The great with the bash, good synergy there. That's good.
Down bottom, it's still the battle of Mike versus this Lifestealer. It's been really tough, and even though they're sort of breaking out even in this lane for Mike, I'm not sure if it's really going to be up. He's actually pretty far behind after the supports has ended up leaving, and you can see up top again, Sneaking is just, he's chasing down. Eagle drops the chrono again.
Burn, baby, burn. Snake King's on fire. That's what I'm talking about. He gets the tower too.
Well, the plus side about this too is actually all 3 of those kills have gone to Invoker, which means he's been a part of them. He's getting the acceleration and gold on top of the AoE gold being there for the Void. So really, really good stuff. And he has his Midas. He's got his drums. He's the top net worth in the game. He's level 10 already, and they're going to end up trying to take down this bottom tier 1 tower.
Yeah, it's the dream, honestly. I mean, Void gets some of the action since he's nearby and sets up the kill, but Invoker also benefits, like you said, and that accelerated his Midas, and now it's really accelerating his farm. Void's level 11, the highest in the game. Invoker not far behind him with the Drum of Endurance online, and already another 1,000 gold, so we can start looking towards BOTs, a Blink Dagger, Aghanim Scepter, even a Necro Book. Any of those would be good options here. So glancing again at the graphs, a 5K net worth lead, 3K experience for Dragneel. It's only been 4 kills, but they are getting so much more out of this landing stage. Looks like they might start to converge onto the PL here. Sunbee does have his BOTs, so he has made a lot out of this mid lane, not far behind the leading farmers of Dragneel. The difference is all of their cores are at the top of the chart, and for Freedom, it's really just 2, Mike being the primary straggler right now.
Yeah, and this is, again, a really good decision to... Oh, well, thinking about going in there. They weren't able to find the kill. It's a good decision, I think, for Void to go back for the Echo Saber at this point, too. We talked about potentially building that Morbid Mask up into something else. He actually is probably going to end up eventually going for Vlad's, but now it allows him to go for a damage item first, and then he can start continuing to snowball with these Chronospheres into Sunstrike. I mean, it's been the combo that's defined this series. The fact that Void was able to get so much out of the laning stage is just absurd. 95 last hits and 18 denies. He's just a monster right now.
Yep, he's tearing it up. And speaking of monsters, old Syllabear in the bottom lane, Spirit Bear's on the front lines. I'm drinking out of my Panda mug tonight in honor of you, Big Daddy. He's tanking this tower. He's got the Hand of Midas. So the Druid has actually been farming pretty well. He does have his tool secured. Meanwhile, in the top lane, though, Snake King just laying into this tier 2 tower. Mike TP's in. He does have a borrowed time, so Snake King going to be a little cautious about how much he commits here. Actually forces out the borrowed time. Oh, Mike.
Right.
Mike, you poor devil. They're not even going to need the chrono for this. Sunstrike flies through. Actually a bit too late. Lion will secure the kill before the Sunstrike can come in. They ping out the Bane. They hungry.
This is absurd. And the most important thing, they didn't even have to use Chronosphere for that one, so they can even push.
Or finger.
I hate to say this, they could potentially think about going high ground with this if they wanted to. They jump forward and are just going to be able to find the Bane.
Boom. Well, that's a pretty easy one. Snake King gets up on the scoreboard now. His first kill after 5 assists. He has the Echo Saber, goes down bottom. Sunstrike on the money. Down goes the Phoenix. Now they go on to Boris. Oh, no. You poor bear. He might be into the Druid form, but it's not going to be enough. The meatball will be sidestepped. He pops the salve. He's juking. He's jiving. But the Spirit, maybe they can find the Echo Stomp. No, where you going, Boris? Where you going? In comes the Forge Spirit. 13 HP. He's trying to make some space. He doesn't have any way to cut through the trees. He is... Oh, my God. He puts down the GG branch, but Choklahoma staples him through the branches. My God, it's a massacre in the bottom lane. The Great Chase.
Oh, my God. That's...
What the hell?
He did everything he could. He threw the kitchen sink at him, had a TP scroll, wanted to get it out of there, but it just didn't end up working out. I think that it was on his bear for a little while, too, which is why he waited for a second. And it would have been the sickest of all plays, but not quite good enough. And, oh, my God. This is just looking so terrible. 7,500 net worth lead, right around 6,000 experience, and the items are going to start to really be coming into the favor right now of Dragneel. And I think it might actually be an Echo Saber up for the Lifestealer next as well.
All right, another great item. It just gives you such an edge in this point in time in the game to let you fight. You know, it's a great early mid-game combative item. So let's go ahead. Let's go to our Soylent instant replay here, folks. Let's relive the madness with that bear chase down bottom. They set up the 2 kills onto the Bane and the Phoenix. Looks like it's just going to be a quick pick on Boris, but little do you know, this bear's got his Nikes on. He jukes a meatball. I can't believe he makes the play to plant the little branch. If only he had... Oh, God. Is there a fight about to break out?
Oh,
no, just a dead Elder Titan. Okay, no worries. The bear chase is actually more interesting. And here's the clutch play. And somehow Choklahoma gets close enough. He's like, wait, I can actually get vision? Okay, I've got this massive Elder body. I might as well use it for something.
it was pretty spectacular. And again, you end up making that one. All is forgiven as far as the laning stage, because guess what? You play the game, but the 3-person Sunstrike with the meatball through it. Oh, God. Excuse me, Chronosphere, but Jubei now also in a ton of trouble.
Yep. I think this egg could be in trouble as well. Nope, they just run the other way. Lone Druid gets the kill on the tower. They still get the Supernova on 4. I think they absolutely could have popped that bubble and just killed the Phoenix, but... Instead, they back out. They'll be happy with just picking up a couple of kills there. Bane goes down. Unfortunate for Dragneel, they couldn't deny the tower. The Lone Druid gets a little bit of extra gold. Probably more progress towards his Radiance. 2,500 gold up there, but back towards the mid lane. Here comes the dive past the tower. Stuns onto the Phoenix. Do they have the damage? Yes, they do. IX Mike on the run. Borrowed time on cooldown. They just need a couple of slows. They'll lock him down. Time dilation comes out. Nightmare onto Mike. Great setup from Jubei. They almost get the kill onto the Life Stealers. He runs back from the tower, but the Abaddon still falls. First hit bash onto Jubei. Bane, say goodnight. Your worst nightmare is here. He falls as well. Freedom will get a cleanup kill onto the Elder Titan, but it looks like the rest of Dragneel will hightail it out of there, and they will survive. Even the limpy little lion, he'll get his Tranquil Boots back, and he'll make it out. A great fight for Dragneel here, Lyrical. They'll get about a 1K net worth exchange out of that. They've got to be feeling pretty good, 13-2 here at the 18-minute mark.
They're doing so spectacularly. And again, one of the big plays that happened in that engagement was this Lion being able to hit a multiple hero Earth Spike. Again, we talked about it in the draft. They've got some ridiculous win percentage on them. I don't exactly remember what it is, but it's because of these types of plays. We saw earlier in the game when it was up near the top tier 1 tower as well, where he was able to get a disengage cleanly with the rest of his team because he hit about a 2-person Earth Spike as well. And constantly getting those types of plays are the things that separate the men from the boys, and they're really just rolling right now. 13-2. They're not looking back.
Feeling good. 7,500 net worth is their favor right now. See if Vladimir's offering out for the Dire Squad, actually onto Mike. Snake King still just on that casual Morbid Mask like you were talking about. Now with a Blink Dagger for some initiation prowess to go with the dual Echo Sabers, him and the Lifestealer. They've got an Infest Bomb, the surprise inside of Snake King. Maybe thinking about a Roche attempt here, making sure Freedom aren't in the pit. They might be able to find a pick onto one Boris. Dragneel rocking the house with Lion to hell and back. 75% win rate. Oh, Boris. Speaking of going straight to the fiery underworld, they're going to kill the bear first. Lyrical's going to choke on it, and then the Lone Druid will be killed. Oh, golly, that's a good one.
That was really nice. And now it's 300. Gold going his way. That's almost going to be a completed Blink Dagger for the Lion.
They get the Invoker, though. They end a mega kill streak. That's not bad for Freedom. Probably a worthy exchange. Who's going to get the kill? It is Bane. But you're right. Getting that gold on the Lion is huge, actually. 1,900 so close as they get another tower. That gets him one step closer.
That would have been really nice. And it's feeling more and more like this is a lead of 7,500 gold where you're still capable of fighting for Team Freedom, but the items for Dragneel are so close to coming online that separate it, where it's going to be a snowball effect tremendously. And I feel like Freedom have to make something happen, particularly with when they use these big ultimates. Chronosphere, whenever it's been offline, they've just kind of sat back and try and farmed up and then waited for the next time that Chronosphere is up. Like, Freedom aren't really trying to go in and take fights when they have these opportunities to make it happen. And I mean, with a Diffusal Blade now up, Boots of Travel on PL, you got to make something more happen with this.
Yeah, well, there you go. Speak of the devil, Sunstrike, Meatball right into the Chronosphere, and they'll bring down the PL. He did just pick up his Diffusal Blade, so somewhat lessened. Oh, never mind. He's holding on to a lot of unreliable. Strike that from the record, but still has the Diffusal, so he is getting some farm. Pickoffs like that are definitely going to happen. He was farming pretty deep in enemy territory, honestly. That's a very aggressive position to be in. Looking at Dire Vision, they do have a couple wards down. He did have one right here, maybe giving him that sense of security that he could see him coming, but Chronosphere deployed, nothing you could do.
And this is going to be the relic finished for the Spirit Bear, trying to build into that Radiance desperately, and it feels like all of their timings are off right now. You've got the PL that just hit a really good one with the Boots Travel and the Diffusal Blade, but then it's the Lone Druid who's not ready with his Radiance, and then you've also got Abaddon that's just sort of stuck here with the Vlads and the Phase Boots. So it's not perfectly timed out together. It feels like there's just those little moments where it's off, and they would love to be aggressive right now, but they have to wait until, one, the PL responds, but two, also when Boris gets his Radiance. Otherwise, you're not really making those timings work, and I just feel like Dragneel are really exploiting this.
Yep, Lion's got his Blink Dagger up now, and Finger coming off cooldown. Almost level 10, so the level 2 Finger makes a big difference. The damage helps, but the cooldown really makes a big difference.
He might be able to, like, I don't know if he can kill Mike here. He's posturing like he wants to. He's got a Blink Dagger, the Hex, the Earth Spike, and the Finger of Death. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to get it through the threshold, but if the Sunstrike comes through perfectly, they might be able to.
It's possible, but improbable. Will
Right.
they pull the trigger on the improbability drive? Nope. All right, he just walks away. There you go. You know, this
Wow.
Elder Titan's had a pretty good game, though. 3, 2, and 5. He's been pretty active in the kills. He's got a Buckler, probably the beginnings of a mech. It could possibly turn into a Crimson Guard as well, but I think he's just going to mech it up and be that support. He is going to run into mana issues, though. The Soul Ring will help, but kind of a tough build with just the Tranquil Boots. Either way, he's level 9. He's had a pretty good impact. You can feel the natural order in these fights.
Absolutely, that's something that's really been effective. They have the source of pure damage from the Sunray, from the Sunstrike. Mike is actually going to end up getting jumped on here, and this should be a kill.
Well, oh, they're coming in, though. They want to fight this Chronosphere as Sunbee comes in. Bane with the ultimate on Snake King. Mike's going to survive. Now the threshold gets popped, but a nice stun from the Lion. Out comes the Earth Splitter, and I'm not sure who's going to win this fight. The Lion drops the Finger, but ends up going down. Sunstrike, Meatball, Invokers join the party. They'll kill the bear. He's got to resummon, and because of that, Freedom want to continue this fight. Out comes the Sunray. Actually not going to do too much. Infest inside of Snake King. Dragneel in full retreat. It's just been a death on the Lion. Trading Lion for the bear, honestly, not too bad for Dragneel. That's essentially a hero kill's worth of gold. I think Dragneel will take it.
That's something. And the other big part about that was that they forced out the Chronosphere. So Void no longer having that means that they can push again with impunity. Or you've got somebody here who ends up going for the Doppelganger to dodge away from the sleep. They finish off the tier 2. I would like to see them move into Roche right now and try and take this down, because they know that they're not going to be able to fight into him. They used also Earth Splitter in that engagement.
And
so
Finger.
A couple of big ultis down, and yeah, they're going to go for it.
Yeah, great call, and exactly what Freedom should do here. You're absolutely right. Finger as well as Chrono is the backbone of this Dragneel strat. All right. Wow, somebody actually did get a lot of farm in that mid lane. You can still see it on the charts. He's at 10k right behind the Void. The Invoker's pulled ahead, but don't forget he's had that Hand of Midas and got all those kills. Actually, on the Phoenix in the safe lane. So should expect the Invoker to be a little bit ahead at this point. He will Sunstrike into the Roche pit. They scout it out. They see how low the Roshan is. And I don't think Dragneel are going to move in here. This is just going to be a tough call. Maybe they'll use an Echo Stomp just to put him to sleep. Try and delay things a little bit, but Boris actually survives through it.
Yeah, this is going to be... there was an opportunity
Snake
maybe
King?
if they rinsed it everybody all at once. Yeah, it's...
Dude, Snake King's ult was coming up in 5 seconds. He was thinking about it. He was like, guys, this is going to be close. I might be able to do it, but the timing wasn't there. He's going for the Maelstrom. I really like this idea from the Void. You got to do something to deal with the PL, and Mjolnir is one of the best solutions. Of course, you can use Diffusal to get rid of the static buff that you get on to get all the huge AoE damage out, but even just the auto attacks, it synergizes really well with the Echo Saber, and with him locked in the Chronosphere, it should give him the ability to clear out those PL illusions pretty effectively. If they pick up a second one at some point also, if the Lifestealer ends up going for a second Mjolnir, they're going to have no problem dealing with PL, at least in the mid-game.
Yeah, definitely. That's going to be the way that they try and approach it. I will say I'm not sure if I love the Lifestealer hanging out in these Ancients. It's just a little bit clowny for me always whenever I end up seeing this. You're going to be able to push down the wave, that's fine, but you need to go back to farming afterwards. And he ended up going back for the Yasha afterwards, after the Echo Saber and the Armlet. I have a feeling this is going to be into a Sanjin Yasha, and hopefully at that point in time he actually tries to group up with his team and make stuff happen.
Yep, there you go. He'll hop out of it. Now, I think the Dragon might be the more warranted creep. That kind of makes some sense. You can really push out waves effectively, and the fire, it does huge damage, and it stays on the ground for like 8 seconds or something. So you can use it fairly effectively to start off a fight, maybe get a second volley off, and then infest bomb out and be a real nuisance. But here we go. Smoke rotation from Team Freedom. I almost said Team Spirit there because they just have so much darn spirit as they cruise across the map together, but not going to find the gank. Snake King will blink away, and looks like this will just be a wasted smoke attempt.
That was really close. They went into animation, Jubei did with his Fiend's Grip, but wasn't quite able to find it there. And like you said, a little bit of an unfortuitous moment for them. But up top,
here we go. Blink Hex. They're going to go right in onto PL. Sunstrike, Finger, Meteor. More than enough damage to secure that kill. Invoker picks it up. Nice gank for Dragneel there. And that's the power of the Blink Hex line. I mean, we talked about how well it can scale. And this is a stage in the game when it's really potent. Kills like that are so crucial for him to keep tempo in this game. It'll actually get him his level 11. So now Finger of Death, much shorter cooldown, 160 to 100 seconds. That's got to feel good.
It's exactly what we were talking about during the draft. It's you have the instant disable from the Lion. You have the lineup down bottom where you don't get it off with the Fiend script, and it's perfectly emblematic of why we were feeling like Team Freedom's draft going into the later stages just wasn't going to be like, this is the timing right now where Dragneel are hitting on all cylinders, and the only thing that's really limiting them is the Elder Titan, who might end up going for the mechanism here. I'm still waiting to see, like you said, he's going to run into mana issues, but with 2,400 gold, he can kind of go for what he wants, and the pickup that he goes for is going to really determine how they want to play this game.
Yeah, honestly, I don't think the Crimson Guard is a bad choice here. It helps against the Bear, and if they end up getting it helps against the illusions as well. The Crimson Guard naturally pretty good, but I think a mech is just objectively a great item for the kind, even with the slow tempo of this game, just the fighting in general gives him more survivability. It's a great reset item. Though it makes you wonder. It's one of those items, the earlier you get it, the better it is. And oh yeah, you're right. They set up on the Bane. It's a Chronosphere from Snake King. All right, nice pickup there. He gets away with it scot-free too as he just time walks out.
That's pretty unfortunate when you instantly lose a Bane every single time you try and set up for a push. They were trying to see if they could move along the top lane here and take down this tier 1 tower, which is still standing, but it's going to be a little bit more difficult. But they don't have the Chronosphere, so that's the plus side of it.
Yep, Snake King actually has the Mjolnir up now. Static Charge active. They're going to go in onto the Druid. Tornado sets it up. Boris in a lot of trouble. Hexed up, but now Sunbee joins the party. They kill the Lion, but he does manage to get the finger off. Phoenix trying to decide how deep to go in this fight. The Aegis is used. Boris comes right back. It looks like Dragneel on the back foot, but they're still holding their own for now. Echo Stomp resets things a little bit, but Mike goes in deep. He'll finish off the Void. Lifestealer resets things a little bit, and now the egg comes out. And they're actually going to try to kill it. Invoker says, let's go for it. They pop the egg. It's a good call. Choklahoma City puts them all to sleep. The Lifestealer goes ham. Mike able to survive, compliments of the Yules, blinks down to the low ground. Now Lifestealer goes blow for blow with the bear. Yeah, that miscoil, not going to do a hell of a lot to heal it up. They're going to give him the staple gun, and the Infest Bomb will finish it off. It's a good fight for Dragneel. They trade relatively evenly, but they do finish off the Aegis. The Sunstrike will catch Mike on the way out. Now it's a great fight for Dragneel with that extra added kill. Plus the bear, they've got to be feeling pretty good. The net worth change on the graph doesn't show much, but I don't think that takes the bear kill into account, if I'm not mistaken. But they clear out the Aegis. That's the other big thing there.
It also doesn't, I mean, part of this is just because of how ahead Dragneel are at this point, that they didn't get as much for that kill and they lost too. But if you could see in that fight, it felt like, where's the damage right now for Team Freedom? Where is it going to be? A big part of that was that Eagle on this Phoenix, he went for the Sunray, but he was literally hitting onto nobody for a good portion of the fight. He was trying to catch onto the Elder Titan, and just again a little bit incongruous with their team fights. They were sort of spread out and far apart. They just wanted to take the tier 1 tower and then back out, but Dragneel really forced the issue and did a great job with it. Now Invoker just so stacked up with that Linkage. He's going to run into 2 and might be able to kill them both off.
Yeah, he's hasted up. Snake King blinks in, drops a chrono, and just a beautiful setup for the Meteor to come down. It actually hits on Mike as well. The borrowed time might get used pretty soon here. Yules after Yules. Everybody's got a Yules. Sunstrike going to heal him up. Mike will say thank you very much, but he'll get locked in place. Somehow manages to blink out. And now they're just going to be able to catch him. It's too much damage. The Abaddon does get a suicide. Nice cheeky little play there from Mike, but can anybody say space created? Because they're going to go right to the top lane. Lifestealer's already been laying into this tier 3. 3 dead heroes, no buyback. Starting to feel like Dragneel might be able to take this game. 12k net worth, 14k experience as they clear out the top tier 3 tower. Barracks now exposed. Glyph can be used here, but what do Freedom have? Phoenix up in a couple seconds. They will glyph it. Sunbee trying to push him back, but now caught by the EMP tornado. EMP will still connect. He uses that doppelganger just a little bit too early. They hold on to the barracks for now, but another meteor comes down. I think they might as well just finish this off. Here we go. The Invoker comes back in. Sunray might do damage, but it doesn't heal structures. Oh, what a nice Echo Stomp. It stops the heal, sets up for the Bane. Sunstrike goes off, doesn't connect, but now the egg gets popped once more. No.
Sunbee
just obliterated as he goes in. It's a disaster, Lyrical. This game's looking over for Freedom.
This is such a difficult spot that they're in right here, and you just get, I mean, they try and do anything that they can to force a fight at the end, and you know, the Mike with the Q plays, gets the deny, he pops his ulti so that way he's not taking damage, and then he can blink away. Like, he knows how to play Abaddon, there's no question about it, but this was the point that we were worried about, and the fact of the matter is that the heroes from Freedom just didn't get big enough.
Yep. And now the lead is just snowballing. It's nearly 20k net worth, experience comparable. We can look at the item chart, but we're seeing a big difference now. It is the Crimson Guard for Elder Titan. He picks it up at like the perfect time. They're really at the peak of their power curve right now. When they pop all their cooldowns, just so hard to kill. Even the Invoker going for a Lincoln Sphere, really important at this stage of the game. Buyback now used by the PL. They might be able to get a counter kill onto the Elder Titan. Freedom going to hang in this game a little bit longer. Sunray doing a lot of damage here to help secure the kill, and it will go the way of the Phoenix. Maybe get the Invoker here as well. Does he have a Ghost Walk? He's got the Invoke, and there you go. He is out of here. He blinks down. Might even reinitiate on the backside. Bane gets caught by the Lifestealer, and they're going to sandwich Team Freedom. They're way overextended out of the base. Snake King has a chrono, just looking for the opportunity to use it. They jump on Sunbee. No mana, Finger of Death, and no HP. It's a godlike streak for the Invoker, and just as it seemed like Freedom might be striking back, the PL dies back. Mike gets caught without borrowed time, and the GG is called. The Invoker ending this game 15-1-9. It ends in a bang. Snake King with a victorious Chronosphere celebration in the top lane. Team Freedom going to concede game 1 here to Dragneel.
That was unbelievable. Dragneel baited that out multiple times. Like, top lane, they step back. It looks like they want to retreat, and then they move in to finish off the barracks, and then a little bit of an overextension from Freedom. Then further forward in the mid lane, they take down the tier 2 tower. It looks like, you know, Sunbee wants to chase. He blinks over the ice wall. Good plays all in all to make it happen, and then they wrap around from the other side. Just really great coordination, and to me, that was the most important thing about this fight, was that, and the game in general, is Dragon Slayers felt like they were constantly on the same page, whereas Team Freedom had differing opinions either on A, how they wanted to take the fights, or B, just maybe getting a little bit tilted at the end there. It was a rough one for them.
Yeah, no, it really was. I mean, what was the final score here? 29-7. Yeah, that's pretty big. I mean, look at that, 14, almost 15 fantasy points on the Invoker. Great stuff from Dragneel. So just game one, though, folks. Again, this is upper bracket, so we will have game two coming up in a jiff. I'm Zyori, he's Lyrical. You're watching Canada Cup Season 7. Stick around because we've got plenty more Dota 2 coming your way after this.